This day, it's weights in the morning and jiu-jitsu at night. But this is only a part of what's prepared Tim Kennedy for a fight.
You're out there still. I was on Halo Sniper Team, direct action, counterterrorism, hostage rescue.
Kennedy is a soldier, once a Green Beret, a Ranger sniper, awarded the Bronze Star for combat heroism.
The winner by unanimous decision, Tim Kennedy.
He's also among the top middleweights in the UFC. But to compare the two,
One's a sport, one has a ref, one has gloves, one has, an equally trained participant that volunteered to be there. The other one is blood and horror and nightmares and sleepless nights. There's nothing alike between the two, thankfully.
And yet, as he climbs the ranks in UFC,
Fighting out of Austin, Texas,
returning to the front line is a possibility. Kennedy remains enlisted as a sergeant first class in the Texas National Guard.
If I were to compare myself in all the things that I'm good at, like a fighter, I'm somewhere between like decent and good. I'm great at war. 100% eyes wide open. I hate war. It is an evil, disgusting, terrible thing. It's a horrible realization that the best thing I'm going to be good at is war. But it's the truth, so at least I can acknowledge it and always kind of be prepared to go do what my country asks or what my family needs.
And it is that realization that keeps Kennedy ever ready to serve if called upon once more in what is truly the ultimate fight.
If something happens again, I'll be in a position to go and do what I was made to do, and that's be in a fight.
Brent Carney, KXAN News.
Should we? I'm tempted to start with how you tried to kill me in that workout, but
and we start wherever you want. And I had nothing to do with that. That was pure Juan, and Juan is that's why I love if Juan coaches us. It ends up being like, he's coaching an athlete, but if Juan's participating,
right,
he's trying to beat us, and that is always better.
Yeah. And it's good when they hop in. I think we've crossed paths up there at On It a bunch, and I typically train with John Wolfe, and he trains with me, and it's good to have. But I've never done a group like that where it's timed and the shit is written on the board, and you have to look at it, and you have to realize that you just got smoked.
My favorite thing that I do in the world, so in sniper stuff, we call it a cold shot. So you pick up your sniper rifle, you're not warmed up, you haven't done any drills, you haven't dry fired. You pick up your sniper rifle and you have your cold bore shot. And that gives you the first snapshot, a peek as to like what you can do cold.
Right.
Just flat out go. And it's always going to be different. Your dope, the data of a prior engagement is going to be a little bit different than every other shot you ever take. And the cold bore shot, I think, is the most important shot. In competitive shooting, it's the same, where I don't warm up, I don't do anything. One of my training partners or shooting partners, they'll be like, okay, this is the drill that we're going to do. I don't want to see it. I don't want to do it. I just want to go. Because that's going to be the only time that you're ever going to get an opportunity to get a snapshot as to like what you can really do. Right. Mm-hmm. So showing up in a workout like that, where one's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And all of us, our brains, like I saw your brain spin. Okay, how can I do this most efficiently? Where am I going to be exerting energy? How am I going to like cost versus gain analysis of everything that I'm going to be doing, knowing that I have X number of minutes and this is not the only thing we're going to be doing. So again, you're kind of like gaming it a little bit, but it is the best snapshot of who we are as athletes, kind of stripped down. And I love that.
The first set where he's, it was the sled and then this huge ass tire and then throwing these heavy balls over. And then as he started to write the names on the board, he went 1, 2, and 3, and that's where I was like, oh, thank God, I only have to do this 3 times. I was like, if he goes 4, 5, 6, I'm gonna be like, come on. But I was proud of myself. I finished.
You're amazing.
Thank you. And you were pissed at me.
I was pissed at the end.
Well, that's my. The first part was your game, and the second part was my game.
Yeah. We got to the bike, and you were almost done with the bike. When I got to it, but then it puts wattage out.
Yep.
So even though we were measuring calories, you were doubling my watts.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were spying on me.
I was wanting to try to catch up to you, which obviously was a complete idiot.
And those bikes they're a little janky in there.
No, that was all soul and complete weak integrity on my part to essentially quit. I should have faked an injury, Lance. That's what I should have done. Oh, my back. Oh.
Put that in, Timmy. So I want to get, this is super time sensitive just because you just flew in 2 nights ago, and and we can get to the Discovery show in a minute, but you were there filming the show, and you were 5 minutes from Parkland, Florida, where from the high school, from where we obviously, the entire country, the entire world knows what happened. And you got to spend some time over there and with kids, with counselors, with teachers.
Yeah. So
the police force.
What we were doing at the time, we had a bunch of paramedics, EMTs, law enforcement that were with us for the TV show I was shooting, and pagers started beeping, phones started ringing, and we just had to stop because we had to send guys that were with us because we're the closest extra bodies, besides guys that were kind of on shift. You have a handful of special forces guys, a bunch of cops, a bunch of paramedics, a bunch of EMTs, a bunch of firefighters. So those guys just hopped in trucks and cars and zipped straight there. Obviously, it's not appropriate for me to do anything, so we just kind of hung back and waited to see how we could help. Go back in time, 20 years. I'm an 18-year-old EMT firefighter at Atascadero Fire Department, brand new as a seasonal firefighter. We get a call, beep, 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 Atascadero Fire. There is a vehicle, TC, a traffic collision on 101 heading southbound. So we get there, and there's a church van that had flipped over in the middle of the night. The driver had fallen asleep, and there was a bunch of women and kids inside of it. And this was the first time I ever had to do triage. I'm an 18-year-old kid. And, 12, 13 women and children spread out across the highway, almost all of them dead. And that's before I got into special forces. I'm in, what am I, a junior in college, sophomore in college. I graduated kind of early, so I was like already EMT, already at the fire department, but not mentally or emotionally evolved enough to catch what was happening. And I don't have a lot of post-traumatic stress from any of the things that I've done in war, but looking back at these kind of women and these children and not knowing what to do really hurt me. And then I go on to become a special forces sniper, a Green Beret, a Ranger, a UFC fighter. I think I have insight that a lot of people don't, having been involved in so many mass shootings, having been involved in war for 16 years. I was just kind of, unfortunately, at the right place at a really horrible time. So I could help in whatever ways I could. And I know what happens when cops and firefighters and paramedics, they see those poor kids in their minds for the rest of their lives. And they think, if I could have gotten there 30 seconds sooner, I got a tourniquet on just 5 seconds sooner, I could have saved that life, but I didn't. And they carry that, that survivor's guilt. So I have a real weird approach to preventing post-traumatic stress. It's you get on the horse, you get back on the bike, you get back to work. So that's what we did. I put on my social media as like, anybody that wants to come and train, I will be setting up shooting courses, fighting courses, active shooter courses, tactical medical courses. And we found a place just about an hour away from Fort Lauderdale where we brought every single person that we could in, and we let them sweat, we let them bleed, we let them train, we let them cry, teachers, faculty members, and all the first responders that were present. It was freaking heartbreaking,
No, I can't imagine. And in the kids, to the, because I've never been in that situation, right? And just crazy to think that shooter there just sort of filed out of the school like he was another kid.
Like a true sociopath.
Yeah. And so, but all the other kids eventually walk out, and they're walking past 17 of their, dead fellow students. I mean, looking at that, that you can't ever, I don't think I could ever shake that.
Never. No, and you won't. Not if you're human.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's something happened. Look, man, and I know your position on this, on the issue of guns, and I have my own position.
I bet our positions are a lot more aligned than you think.
Well, We'll get to that. But I don't. If Newtown didn't change it, and Orlando didn't change it, and Vegas, something happened here that it just changed the diet. It seems like, at least if you follow the press and you follow the pressure on the politicians, this was different. It's
not different. It's the same. The people are responding different.
They are responding different.
Like,
and the kids responded different.
Yeah, I don't care about kids. You know, if you're making videos eating Tide Pod, and then you can think that your 16-year-old ass can change the Constitution, I don't care what you say. But what I do care is that, you know, what is insanity? Insanity is when you're doing something the exact same, hoping for a different change, hoping for an outcome that's not going to be the exact same. And when you're letting people get access to guns that shouldn't have access to guns, and you're letting people that are on medications have access to guns, and think that something's not going to happen again, then we're completely insane. And that's what's happening right now. And I think this was finally the straw that broke the camel's back. We're like, holy crap, this is just another kid that got a gun and went and killed a bunch of people. At what point are we going to wake up and say, we have to change gun laws? We have to change what we're doing about antidepressants. We have to change about culturally what we're doing with how guns and kids that are struggling in school are going to be treated. And
there are kids that I mean, if you believe what you read, that now it's almost a competition.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sick kids that are like, oh, I have to get the record.
Yeah.
They have heard from kids or seen evidence of kids say, I mean, that is fucking crazy that anybody would just sit there and go, oh, what is the record? I mean, think about that.
Yeah, I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
And then we think about what the solution is. That's what I think about. When was the last time
you said gun control?
Yeah, I believe gun control is a massive solution.
Good.
I do not think that.
I didn't expect you to say that.
I don't think a 19-year-old kid should have access to an AR-15. I don't think, he should be able to buy a pistol. Fortunately, he can't. But if you can't buy a pistol, how can you buy a semi-automatic AR? That doesn't make sense to me. First of all, I'm a massive proponent of every single amendment of the Constitution, to include the Second Amendment, First Amendment, 10th Amendment, all of them. I like them all. I like them all equally, and I think that they're all very important. I love the and I love NAACP. I love not what the NRA does, but what they should do, which is protect the Second Amendment. Like, everybody thinks that they're supposed to be protecting the Second Amendment, but really they're just protecting sales of some product. Right. When was the last time a kid was burnt in school? Like when there was a fire in the school and the school burnt down, a bunch of kids died. It used to happen all the time, right? 1910, 1920, 1930.
No, it happens in nightclubs and raves,
but not in schools. No. Why doesn't it happen in schools?
I have no idea.
Because
we have fire extinguishers.
They got freaking fire extinguishers.
Look how smart I am.
That's right, Lance. And they have fireproof walls, and they have a great response time. They have fire drills. And we took all of these protective measures, and we don't let kids walk in with flammable things. But we took all of these preventative measures that ultimately started saving lives and stopped having fires in schools and stopped having kids burn when there were fires. But now we're like, oh, wait, we've now had, 20 school shootings, but we haven't done anything? Kids can still get guns. They're still on medications. They're still trying to smuggle guns into school, but then getting expelled for it, but then not having the repercussions of being put on a list that prevents them from buying a gun. Like that Nick Cruz kid bought his gun legally. That's insane. Right. How is that possible?
Well, and all the other, the calls they had. I mean, it wasn't a surprise that this kid was going to, or potentially was looking to do something like this, could do something like this. I mean, the checks along the way, they just completely failed.
Yeah, they failed. Government failed.
As the same with the church shooting just south of Austin.
An hour away from here.
Yeah.
Same red flags in place.
That's where I'm not a big guns freak me out. Like, you're a sniper. Okay, that's like you saying bikes freak you out. Like, right, I ride bikes fast. You shoot guns better than anybody else, but they just fucking freak me out. Like the noise of them. And I've been, on all these USO trips where they let us shoot the guns, and I've been out to, ranches and shot big guns. I don't know.
I have guns that are really, really quiet. You can shoot those.
and not hot, because then they get really hot.
No,
too.
they don't get hot either.
Yeah, but no, they just freak me out, and so I don't even know where I was going with that, but it just I don't know, man. I struggle with it. And growing up in Texas, it was like it's so much of a part of
the culture.
The culture here.
Yeah.
It's not like growing up in New York City or Los Angeles. We're like, whoa, a gun. What do you mean? I mean, in Texas, like if you don't have people ask all the time, dude, you got guns? I was like, hell no, I don't have guns. No.
And they're definitely not for everybody. You know, after 2001, during 9/11, you know, we looked at pilots and we said, this could have been stopped with one guy with a gun on this plane. You know, they didn't need to fly into the Pentagon. They didn't need to fly in those two towers. And we asked pilots, we said, if you guys wanted to carry guns, would you? And lo and behold, majority didn't want to. And God bless them. That's completely awesome. That's their choice. But then there was a few that said, yeah, I would love to carry a gun on the plane. Is there ammo that wouldn't damage the plane, that's frangible, that would stop in a body and not destroy the fuselage and make it be a catastrophic incident? Like, yeah, we have that ammunition. It's frangible ammo. So then we created a protocol to train these pilots and made them go through like how we're seated right now, where they could draw from their pilot seat and shoot over their shoulder. They'd have to accurately engage targets from a seated position. They had to go through hours and hours of training. They had to do some psychological evaluations. They had to see a psychologist. And how many times since 9/11 have we had a hostage incident in the United States on a plane?
Yeah.
Never. It'll never happen again, because we took preventative measures to ensure that happened. Yeah. You know, so there are solutions to fixing problems, you know, and some, we just have to, like, yeah, I want a school to be a place that it is safe to learn, and that the whole purpose is that educators have an opportunity to nurture these beautiful minds and make them be productive members of society. But that can only happen if it's safe. And right now it's not. Yeah. You know, so we have to fix gun laws. We have to fix depression, antidepressant medications. We have to prepare schools, teachers, faculty members, how to make that place safe.
And what about arming the teachers?
I think the same model that was applied to pilots.
Right, it's the same thing.
Could be. You have, like, you cannot force somebody to take a gun. You cannot, and then somebody that really wants to have a gun that should not necessarily be the person that should have a gun. But finding the same process in picking our pilots, and we have, I can't tell you how many, but we have a lot, like thousands and thousands of pilots that carry in that cockpit. And they are
really,
yes, screened rigorously, like psychological evaluations, personality tests, and they have to qualify. And I'll tell you what, nobody will ever take control of a plane again. And that beautiful, man, heartbreaking, but the contrast of selflessness, the assistant football coach in Parkland that stepped in. Are you familiar with this? Mm-mm. Oh man, I almost don't want to tell you because I'll get goosebumps. One of the football coaches at the school shooting, when he heard the gunfire, he stepped into the hallway with Nick, the insane murderer, at one end of the hallway. He's huge, 340-pound guy. Wow. Grabbed kids, shuffled them in front of him as he's getting shot in the back, and he pushes kids into the doorway. And the kids, they all said he was a gentle giant. If you go to my Instagram page, actually, because I was present and all the kids were talking about it. They're like, Coach saved us. Coach grabbed us and put him, like, he was a bullet blocker. He was big enough to stop those bullets, and he just grabbed these kids and put them in front of him and started pushing them in front of rooms. And he got shot a few dozen times before he finally died. Oh. Give that guy a gun. Make that guy, he probably wouldn't volunteer for it. Maybe he's like, man, I want to save these kids. I just don't want to do. Send him to me for 80 hours, and I will make him not have to die. Like Patton said, it's not your job to die for your country. It's to make that damn bastard die for his. And make it efficient. Make him protect those kids efficiently.
I didn't hear that.
Oh God, it's a gorgeous story.
Now, just so I'm clear, because what is in that bag?
That's a gun.
Oh,
yeah,
that's okay. Loaded?
There's not a round in the chamber. It's what we call an Israeli draw. So I take the gun out and I rack a chamber. A lot of people don't like that I carry that way, but I have a 2-year-old, and he's really handsy. He likes everything that Dad
No,
has.
yeah, I'm glad he's not sitting right here.
Yeah, so my Israeli draw is like a 1.5 second, whereas like my draw with a round in the chamber is like 0.6 seconds. I'll take that extra half a second to make sure that my son can't.
No, okay. Did
Everywhere
Dakota Meyer have a gun on the table? It was in the kitchen. And
yeah.
Was that gun at the gym?
Yeah, right next to me the whole time. Remember, I kept moving the bag from everywhere that we were working.
No, I didn't. I missed that part.
Yeah, it's within hands distance everywhere I go, every minute that I'm alive.
I mean,
But you guys are safe.
no.
I promise.
And so, now I remember what I was trying to say a second ago. So I mean, the gun thing I struggle with. I mean, everybody that listens to this show knows that. But the church shooting down here, right? So, and I had this discussion, debate, everything with Anna just after that shooting. This guy's in there, complete fucking lunatic, just killing all these people. Walks out, and then a neighbor hears, "Oh my God, somebody's getting shot up here."
Yeah.
Neighbor walks out with a shotgun. This dude walks, and boom,
Yeah.
he shoots him.
Yeah.
So as much as I just hate the gun thing, I'm like, well, God, I get that. Like, if that guy doesn't injure him and make him, so that he just stops killing people, there's no telling what he does. He may just go down to the grocery store and keep going.
Yeah. How many school shootings have had where there's a paid armed guard present?
Well, that's a whole nother story here. I mean,
Yeah.
this poor guy, not poor guy, I mean, this fucking guy that didn't, I mean,
He's a school resource officer. I'm talking about paid security by the school.
Oh, I don't know.
0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking a guy that's waiting to retire. That's part of some school program, DARE, like rape prevention, anti-drug.
Is that what he was?
Yeah. He's essentially the DARE officer. He's the school resource officer, and let him. I mean, that poor man is gonna live with that conscience
forever. And in this day and age,
As he should.
There's cameras everywhere, and they see him just hunkered down.
Yeah, I
Compare that to the football coach.
Yeah. The school resource officer had a gun and body armor.
And he was hiding behind a concrete wall.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, that's
Life's a beautiful thing, though. It's worth protecting.
I didn't feel very safe before we started, but now that I know there's a loaded gun here,
We're good.
I feel good. I mean, there's no telling.
I don't like sitting with my back to the door, but I'm doing this for you.
All the guests sit there.
Oh,
but
God
if I knew that it really bugged you that bad, I would have been happy to turn around or move around. Let's talk. Well, actually, you know what? What is a sniper? Like, if I think of sniper, I think of the movie, right? I think of
American Sniper?
Yeah.
With Chris Kyle. So a sniper, first and foremost, is...
I mean, I think that's probably what most Americans, they think, okay, you sit on rooftops and you can shoot a mile away, super accurate.
Mile and change, for sure. We are intelligence gatherers first. We're kind of eyes to the battlefield. We have drones, but a drone doesn't have the ability to have the human perspective. Mm-hmm. So a commander, let's say you're my boss, you're my general, and you say, hey, I want to know what's in this area. So they can send a sniper into that area, and we can do reconnaissance, and we can count people, and we can get general impressions about their capability, what equipment they're using. And then if need be, we can interdict, so like the psychological effect that a sniper has, I can't explain. When you hear a sniper gun sounds different than all other guns. And when you hear something go pop and hit something, and then you hear the crack about 3-4 seconds later, you watch, if there's 5,000 people in the valley below you, you watch 5,000 people get on the ground and start crawling, pushing their dicks into the dirt as much as they can to the closest thing they can find for cover. That is the psychological effect of a sniper. So not only can we accumulate very tangible information and then relay that, we can also strike a very powerful, emotional, psychological bullet into the morale of the enemy.
Right.
It's a weird job. It's a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I and so you go in, you join the Green Berets in 2004.
I walked in the recruiter's office on September 11th. The plane smashed. I was on the West Coast, but I was in college. They waited for me to finish grad school, and then I went into basic training. Mm-hmm. So it took two years for me to get into basic training from the time I walked in the recruiter's office.
And because it's the same story as Pat Tillman, right? So
Similar.
Tillman
Mm-hmm. Yep.
sees the towers and says, of course he's playing in the NFL, and it's a crazy story, but any overlap there?
He went to Ranger Regiment, which is also in the special operations community. Green Berets and Rangers have very different jobs. They're a direct action light infantry unit. So they're going to hop out of parachutes and take over an airfield. I'm going to hop out of an airplane and parachute and then bribe and convince a bunch of local guerrillas to go take the airfield for me. Right? Very different.
Yeah.
Same objective, take the airfield. We just go about it a way different way.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of overlap, same places.
In their language or in
their language.
Or you have translators?
Both. Yeah, all special operations guys are required to have a second language. And pretty much every single one of us is, I thought I'd be an exceptional guy. I was a professional athlete, already spoke another language. I was a competitive shooter. And I got to special forces and I was the same as everybody there. Yeah. If not.
In one article I read, you thought you were going to come in and just be like, I got this.
Yeah.
I've done this stuff my whole
Yeah,
life.
and I was the dumbest, slowest.
Worst shot.
Yeah. And least experienced, obviously, being the newest guy. So I was just complete liability to the team.
And how many missions over there? Or how many tours, I should say?
Oh, tour. I have, I leave again in a few weeks, and that will be my Baker dozen. I'll be at 13 deployments.
You are crazy. I know, I can tell that you're crazy, and I see it in the gym that I'm like, that motherfucker's crazy. And then I read, and you just confirmed it, that you re-enlisted last year. I'm like, that is crazy. But all you guys want to do that. I mean, Dakota Meyer wants to do that. You wanted to do that. All my old SEAL, but they come home and the speed limit's 35 and the baby's crying and you got kid drop off and
I'm definitely
what dude?
I love the baby crying. I love the school drop off. I am sane because of that.
Yeah.
I love being home and I fight tooth and nail for every single second to not be away. But I know the thing that hurts me the worst is the things I've done and seen overseas, I'm starting to see here. And the whole point of everything that I've ever done is to never, I had always hoped that would never happen, right? I would never see somebody drive down the road on a scooter and throw acid on little girls because they're walking to school, because little girls, they shouldn't go to school, according to an insane fanatic religion. But now we're seeing that in Michigan, in Dearborn, and we're seeing people go to Christmas parties in San Bernardino and start shooting people, right. And then going to a gay nightclub in Florida and shooting people. Those are things that I see overseas, and I wanted to fight those things over there so I wouldn't have to see them here, but now I'm seeing them here, and I'm like, God damn it!
So you're going. Wait, tell me again. You're going back when?
And
going where?
To where the good stuff is,
Afghanistan, Iraq, Africa?
I can't say where I'm going or when I'm going, but it's in the very near future.
Will you shoot me a text when you're leaving?
Yeah.
Wow.
But not text. I'll be like, this is where I'm leaving.
And how long do you have to go for? Can you say that? Do you know that?
Yeah, it depends on...
We're doing a week, a year?
It's we go and do a job. So our job is to get this airfield open, or our job is to get this warlord to not let people cross his property and make it to this terrorist camp that we know is directly north of his property. So if he's cool with that and I don't have to pay him too much money, then I can do that in 2 conversations? Yeah. Sometimes that takes a long time. We got to hang out with them, eat some really crappy goat, get diarrhea.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I would re-enlist too. Everything you just said sounds fucking amazing.
Goat diarrhea. Come on, I'm in.
Shitty goat.
Yeah.
Then
So General Mattis is awesome, and that was a huge contributing factor to me re-enlisting. He is just a leader that we haven't that you only get once a generation. And when I knew that he was going to be, Secretary of Defense, like, talk about a guy you want to work for. It's one of those guys that you'd fall into hell,
Yeah, like Vince Lombardi or something.
Yeah.
Or some inspirational leader.
Yep.
What can we? I mean, because we're talking about you guys going back, and I know a lot of you guys, and you miss it. But the reality is, most guys don't go back. Most guys come back here and stay here, and it's tough.
It's tough.
What could we as a society, whether it's just as a friend, as a neighbor, as a colleague, or as a classmate, but also just as the system, what can we do better?
Austin, God, I love the city, right? Don't you love it here?
I do love it here.
I do too. I live Northwest, and the school that my son goes to, they're like, he's one. Well, there's 12 or 14 kids in his class, and he was only there a couple hours, a few days a week. But my daughters too, at their schools, they as little white kids, they're like 1 in 10. And like when a new Indian family moves into our neighborhood, what do we do with them? Right? How do we want to understand them, right? We want to like understand their food, and we understand how they talk, and we understand how they eat, and we understand like how we live, and should I take my shoes off when I walk inside? And okay, I don't bring over a beef dish, and like a bunch of important things for us to understand how to not offend them, and how to because they live different than us. These guys coming back, they're different.
Yeah.
And you got to learn how they talk. You got to learn how they work. You got to give them purpose. They're purpose driven. I mean, they're like some of the most incredible employees and beautiful humans, and they understand selflessness. They understand hard work, but they're also broken little things. And it takes a little effort. But if you're going to take that time and that effort to get familiar with that new Mexican family that moved next door to you, and you're trying to learn some new Spanish idiomatic expressions so you can kind of converse comfortably with them, like maybe do that with that weird dude that is, that has that beard and a couple extra tattoos that just got back from his 4th deployment. Yeah. Just take that same little bit of time. And that's what it is. The only difference is we're just a little bit scared because, one of them is just a Mexican family, and the other one for the past 4 years has, been fighting wars overseas. Right. But it's still just being a human.
And has an edge to him.
Yeah.
And is like.
But it's still just a person.
Right.
And if I'm going to take that time to try to learn, that new Vietnamese family that moved right behind up my house, like, oh, I'm going to Google and figure out what the best dishes are, and let's figure out like culturally, and so I can not sound like a total idiot, when I go over in there and talk to them for the first time, maybe learn how to say hey in their native language, because I know that they barely speak any English. Why don't I just take that same effort and do it for a veteran?
Right. Well, you're different, obviously, than me or most people
Well,
listening.
Yeah.
I mean, you're that guy. I mean, well, I mean, it's. I hear you, but I see the struggle. Like in my friends, I see the struggle. They're like, I've never seen a dead person. I've never killed another person. I've never lived, these things that you have to live with the rest of your life, right? And we don't understand. Most people don't understand that, and so you understand it. My friend, our mutual friends understand it, but dude, it's heavy.
I mean, I've never, my sister has never had to poop in a bucket and carry it outside and, throw it in the river, or had to clean a goat, like right. An Afghani family just moving back. But if a Afghani family moved next to my sister surely would go and try to the best of her ability to try to find common ground and try to like, and that's all I think we have to do. If that edgy, tough, brass guy that uses, fuck as a comma, a noun, a verb, that has a beard, just find some common ground.
Bunch of bumper stickers.
Yeah, too many bumper stickers.
A lot of bumper stickers.
Yeah. I have no tattoos. I have no beard. I have no bumper stickers.
Yeah, you're pretty clean cut. But you are, dude. You're crazy. I'm just gonna tell you. Let's talk about this show. I want to talk about the Discovery show. You know, I have a long history with Discovery Channel.
Do you really?
They sponsored our team from.
Oh,
once Postal left, we were the Discovery Channel, 2005 through 2007.
The team.
Yeah, won a tour, and then actually we won 2 tours with that team.
Amazing. Do you like them, Discovery?
Yeah, they were great. And there was a guy, he's no longer there. Billy Campbell ran it at the time. Who was just a stand-up guy, total A+. But everybody, I mean, I forget the fellow. What's the fellow's name that started Discovery Channel? John? Shit, I should know. Anyways, no, everybody was great. But that doesn't matter what I think. I want to hear about this show because the show is called Hard to Kill. Did I get that right?
That's it, yeah.
Tim Kennedy, Hard to Kill.
Yeah.
And so
I love how the segue into this is you're completely crazy, and now we're going right into Hard to Kill.
Let's go straight to it. And so just so I'm clear, because this is what I think it is. So basically, they just do everything they can to literally try to kill you.
Yeah, well, that does happen, but that's not the show. The show is Anthony Bourdain, Sights Unseen. Think that first.
Okay.
So the show's not supposed to have anything to do with me. The heroes of the show, the guys that are hard to kill, are the guys and gals that do insert some crazy ass job. Whether it's like an experimental test pilot, or you're a North Atlantic fisherman, or you're an ice road trucker, or you're some crazy job that you normally die in.
These are actual examples?
These are actual examples.
Okay. And
we find a job that is inherently dangerous, that people die in all the time. And a necessary element for us to pick that job, it has to be embedded in the American culture. It has to be like part of who we are, like putting food on our table, putting gas in our cars, delivering medications to little farm villages in Alaska. It's like it just inherently American. And then it's dangerous as hell. So that's the job. And then we find what is the worst case scenario? What is the worst day of the job? What is that thing or that example where these people die? For an ice road trucker, it's when it goes underwater. For a North Atlantic fisherman, it's when he gets pulled overboard, or the boat sinks, or the boat catches on fire. For an experimental test pilot, it's when the plane rips apart around them and they're flying a prototype plane, or they have to eject, or the plane catches on fire and they crash in the desert and they have to survive. So we find these examples and these instances of the worst day, and I do the job, and then I do that worst day. And I see...
So they can replicate? I guess they can.
Yeah. I mean, we can crash a plane with me inside of it in the desert. That sounds fun. And it's completely moronic. Did that. We can take my visor and we can put ice on it and throw me out of it at an altitude that we can't breathe because it's so high, and in a dead spin so I can't even see where the horizon is, and see if I can actually gain stability before I throw my parachute so I don't land on the ground and die. Put me inside of a plane, set it on fire with aviation fluid, stick me inside of a boat, sink it, and set it on fire and see if I can get out. Put me inside of a helicopter, crash in the Arctic Ocean, so then I have to swim to an iceberg and then live on the iceberg. But when I say it's not about me, it's not, because every single one of those things somebody has done before and lived. Yeah. So then I have to go and it's almost like pay credence or like homage. Yeah. Homage to the guys and gals that have selflessly.
And they're on the show too.
Yeah.
The actual people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way, I was just telling you, you're fucking crazy for re-enlisting, but all these things you just listed, I think it's probably not a bad idea that you re-enlist.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
No, everything you just said, send me back to wherever you're going.
Man, you give me a gun, and I'm not like Superman, but like if there's a gun in my hand, everything around me is pretty much going to be okay. You put me in a parachute and throw me out of a plane with my visor frozen. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen.
So do you get scared? Like, you got to get scared doing that stuff. I mean, and when I say scared, I mean like really scared. Like, holy shit, I'm not going to make it. Scared. That means yes.
I lost the, I have no fear of height. Like if you put me on in a helicopter and you fly it up to, 10,000 feet and you sit me in the door, there's like a string in my chest that's like pulling me all the time. Just push off, just step off the skids. And And that goes for everything. So when I get in those instances where it's showtime, Tim, you know, because the thing that Discovery said, no stunts. This is not a stunt show. This is not a jackass. This isn't a fear factor. This isn't, okay, there's a cable that's holding you, you know, so when you jump, you're going to be okay. Right. This is, you know, I've seen the inside of my own body a few times already, you know, like all these little, this is all infection from glass that got stuck in my leg last week. So I don't have like the fear thing. What I have is like right before you start a race, you weren't scared, but you're like in the zone, right? Like you're focused, and it's the exact same. I was
excited. Yeah. I mean, it's
excited, I think, is another word for scared sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the whole butterflies, and here's my son calling me. What does he want? Oh boy. Dave, can we kill that AC? It's freezing. No, it's a confidence. But I'm different than you, man. I don't like heights. I get claustrophobic. You know, I just, you know.
You don't like losing?
I don't like losing, but I also don't want to, you know, I'm never going to, I'm 46 years old. I'm not going to go do that shit. There's just no way, no how. I don't care how many zeros are behind the offer. The thing that you said before our workout today, which I think is maybe needs to be the ad, is for next season of this series, of the show, is that the insurance company is insisting that one of their agents is on site every minute that the show is being shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty amazing. Like, no, timeout. We're not doing that. I mean, that shows you how crazy that shit is.
Yeah. When we, for season 1, when we're like, all right, we're going to be blowing up a car, and we'd like to have Tim inside of the car when we set off the explosives for an IED episode. The insurance company is just, I'm sorry, is this a joke? Like, right. Because we not only no, but hell no. And additionally, we are now going to be reviewing everything you're going to be doing in the future episodes, because like we legitimately thought that this was a joke. Like, this is a joke email, but you're not joking. So we don't know what to do right now. Please never email us again and stop filming the show. You know, it's essentially what they said, but we found common ground. We compromised.
And when did we get to see it? When is the show?
Episode 1 is pretty much, so we have
8 episodes.
We have 8 episodes. 6 episodes are in the can. We have 2 episodes to film, and the first 2 episodes are pretty much finished. You know, like
edited.
So before they'll probably get 4 done before they give a release date. So probably 6-7 weeks. I would guess.
On Discovery Channel.
On Discovery, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's exciting. It's scary.
And then what do they then decide, I guess obviously they see how it does, and then they decide to pick it up again, or they've already, or is this something that's going on? For your sake, I hope they kind of drop it, but.
Man, I want to change the world. I want to change America. And so, you know, I'll take some risks.
Why don't you run for office?
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever an option.
Well, I mean, that's...
I would really like to affect who goes into office, but I promised my wife, and some of the things that I did in war, I just don't think people would ever understand, and they would come out, you know? And that is back to how do we understand veterans? You know, if I explained some of the things that I'd done, like, I just don't think anybody would understand that, you know? And there are other people there. There are drones there. There's going to be footage there. There's going to be helmet cams. There's going to be gun cams. And they'll be like, man, I saw Tim this one time. This guy was reaching for a gun and he shot him. He didn't even have a gun, but he's, you know, and like, but he's reaching for it. Yeah, but you just shot an unarmed guy. Like, man. It's things like that. Like, how do you explain that? War is a weird, ugly, horrible place.
I think about it and talk about it a lot on the show. Like you know, I don't. There are certain things in life and in this world that just there shouldn't be helmet cams and gun cams, and it's, you know, the media embedded in war. Like, are you kidding? I don't know. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, and it gets, not that I've ever been to war, but I touch on it a lot on here. Like, you know, our world was kind of a war. I mean, it was a messy place. It was fucking, you know, it was a gunfight. And, you know, then now it's like, oh, you know, everybody pretends to know everything about what happened in that fight. And it's tough. It's a tough one to try to unwind.
Yeah. I really believe in like freedom of information. You know, like I think we, the people, are supposed to be the most powerful thing in this country. You know, like not the mob. I'm not talking because that's what brought Rome down. I'm talking about the people. You know, like the people that care, people that work, people that pay taxes, people that vote. Those people. Not that the other people aren't less important, but there's some that are just along for the ride, and there's others that care, and those are we the people. You know, I was like, I always struggled with like Snowden. I'm like, is that guy a traitor or is that guy a patriot? You know, and do I want people to know how we have access to? You know, I can look inside of your phone and see what you liked on Facebook and where you've been, and you know, and ultimately, I just have to go back to that beautiful Constitution of ours and be like, no, we shouldn't. Well, should the people have access to the things that I do overseas? You know, I think they should, you know, and I should be judged accordingly. You know, they may not understand it, but, you know, so that's maybe why I'll never run for office.
Yeah, there you go. So, and you're super, you know, on your socials and stuff, obviously we follow each other on Twitter, so I see, you know, very passionate responses from you. You know, of course, there's so much noise on social media now. It's hard to to cull a lot of it. But one of the most passionate responses you had was with regards to Bo Bergdahl.
Yeah.
And the situation, which we all know about now, right? So exchanging 5 quote unquote bad guys for Bo Bergdahl, comes back. Your response to that was
Acute.
Yeah, no, it was that was a sensitive area for you.
It is. One of my friends actually that's going to be running for office. He was a major at the time, and he got in gunfights trying to find Bo Bergdahl.
Right.
And some of his guys got hurt. Unfortunately, they're special forces guys. None of them died, but they got hurt. And they're trying to go and look for a guy that just walked off base, you know, that wasn't happy with his command climate. And I get it. You know, sometimes you don't like your boss. I've had plenty of bosses I didn't like working for. Right. But I've never even crossed my mind, and never even like in the worst nightmare of a consideration did I consider putting other lives at risk for my own selfishness. But then to like add injury to insult, you know, the guys that we traded for that traitor, those were men that killed Americans. Those were men that tortured and burnt alive Americans, that dragged guys through the streets and backs of cars, that hung guys from bridges, their dead, desecrated bodies. Those are the men that we traded for Bo Bergdahl. So yeah, that hurts, you know? Do I think that we should ever I believe we never leave a guy behind, you know? But there's other ways to get him.
Yeah.
Like sending me and 50 of my friends in with him to go get him.
Right.
You know,
opposed to
a trade, to a swap.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All 50 of us, we have to go get that traitor. Cool. We'll go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're you know, some of us are going to get shot for him. Maybe we'll still go do it.
But there were guys who were not fatally injured, but permanently. I mean, the injuries that 1 or 2 of these guys suffered out looking for Bo Bergdahl were, you know, horrible. Changed their lives forever. I mean, I'm you know.
And those 5 guys that we traded, they went right to work.
They went back home, right? I mean, it wasn't like they.
Oh, yeah, no, they went right back to work, like to being terrorists. Like, oh, cool, we'll take this guy so he can go stand trial for treason, and you 5 guys, you guys just go right back to being terrorists, and that's what they did. You know, I think we've killed a couple of them already. Like they so far up the tip of the spear, like we just had to go right back to having guys like me find them.
What did they do to him? Did he get jail time or is it still? I don't know. I should.
Yeah. Try to block him out.
I can tell it's your whole when I saw you tweeting about this, I was like, ooh, Tim doesn't like this.
No,
but just the it was tense, man.
I can't. I'm not like clever enough to have different faces. You know, like I'm a open. You know, you'd ask me anything about any. I'm just gonna tell you exactly what I think. Yeah. You know, I'm too honest or too dumb to be able to play any trickaroo.
I know. So here's a quote. I love this quote of yours. This article in Muscle and Performance. They were asking you about should people in the men and women in the military train like athletes? You said absolutely. If I see a soldier who's fat wearing a uniform, I pretty much go from being the super nice, fun-loving guy you can drink a beer with to a jerk, lickety-split. I think there's a certain amount of responsibility that goes along with wearing the uniform. I don't care what your job is. I don't care if you're in the JAG office doing wills for guys deploying or power of attorney for their wives. You wear a uniform, do not be a fat piece of shit. End quote.
Yeah, that's that's pretty much spot on. It's a bigger thing than just how you look. Like, well, so 670-1, which is wear of uniform and appearance. It's the Army regulation that tells us how long our hair can be. I'm out of regulations right now. What you're supposed to, the badges you're supposed to wear and the tabs you're supposed to wear and how it's supposed to be fitted. That's an important one. I care more about like the intent of the law than the letter of the law. I care, like the guy that's a fat piece of turd, that's the guy that that doesn't have the pride and the self-respect in wearing that uniform. And that's going to trickle down to his performance in his job, how he treats his fellow soldiers, how he treats his command, and and how he is as a human.
Right.
So like you put on that uniform, you're paying my you're paying my salary, and you, and it's not like I don't have a right to be there. I'm a servant. I'm a civil servant working for the people. So like there's a responsibility associated with that, and the guys forget that. They put on that uniform, they get issued a gun, they're like, I'm fucking G.I. Joe, like right. God bless America, come and take it, or don't tread on me, blah, 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 all the stupid things that they say when really they're just supposed to be servants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have this other. This whole article is about just the workout, the way you live your life, right? Which is, but this one, you go on and on about how you work out and the symbiotic relationship between all of the things you do, whether it's TV or military or family. But I love that the last quote says it's 24/7, and it's what I've chose to do until the day I die.
Yeah,
like that's I'm the same way. I so get it. Like it's. And I think that's actually probably why we've, in the gym, be like, what's up, man? Like, and I see all the other, they have all these kids for the NFL Combine in there right now, these young kids, and I'm just a fucking old man. They're like, but I'm in there for 1 hour, and I kill it for 1 hour, and then I leave. But so I'm sure these young 20-year-old kids are like, damn, look at that old man over there. Like, what is he? He don't need to be here. Yeah. Like, but I'm going to be 90 and doing that if I make it to 90 or 80 or whatever. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine not doing that. Pretty crazy.
And that echoes into everything else that we do. That synergy, there's, if you have these bubbles and fitness is a bubble, and diet is a bubble, and sleep and sex and all of those things are intersecting. And one makes the other one better, and the other one makes the other one better, and the other one makes the other one better, and the other one makes the other one better. And if you look at some of the cultures, some of the warrior cultures from the Spartans to the samurai to the Romans, you see philosophers, you see artists, but you see guys that are dedicated to a lifestyle, and you have that lifestyle, and I have that lifestyle where we're like, man, we appreciate great art, and we appreciate culture, and we appreciate food, and we appreciate sex, and we appreciate good sleep, and but like we live our lives in extremes, and it's almost the contrasts of those things that bring balance. Like I'm sure when you're picking up those medicine balls today and doing that sprint and then flipping that 400 and something pound tire, you're like, not spots, not like you're blacking out, but there's a degree where your awareness was like, was getting tunneled into like this one task.
No, I was like, what am I doing?
That's a beautiful thing.
The tire weighed 400 pounds?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't know that before.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have run down there and even put my hands underneath it. 400 pounds?
Yeah. For you to lift the whole thing up off the ground.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So, for one side, we're talking a 280, 290 pound deadlift into a push press.
Wow.
So that's massive volume. I mean, that's massive weight.
Wow. Love that. And then I have two more questions. The MMA thing, I cannot watch MMA.
No, I don't like it either.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I'm glad, but
I
can't. I can watch boxing. I can watch, but
I have a hard time watching boxing too.
Well, I don't watch. And we've been to a couple live fights, and I love the pageantry of all that. And maybe MMA would be different live, but it is so fucking brutal. Like I just can't. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And it's the thing is just it's become such a major sport in our country, internationally even.
Yeah, there's about three.
Yeah, you decided to do that too.
There's 3 or 4 people that I will watch because they're like my legitimate friends that I love. That like, and I'm not watching them to see if they win or lose. I'm watching to see if they get hurt, and that's the only reason I'm watching it.
How padded are the gloves?
They're not padded at all.
They're not.
No.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
it's even dumber.
They're padded to protect your hand, and they're padded to prevent cuts. So if I hit you with just my knuckles, the pounds per square inch of these little tiny bones hitting you are going to cut you, and then we're going to have a short fight because of bleeding. Well, we don't want that. We want big, exciting fights with knockouts and chokeouts. So the pad,
So just levels it out.
Yeah. So the design of the glove is not to protect anybody, not to protect brains. It is just to make the fight more brutal and last longer. That's why.
There's your ad, UFC. There's your
Dana White loves me, by the way. Yeah, he loves when But it's a beautiful thing to see a human be able to be so violent
to a friend.
Not
Some of these guys are friends.
Yeah, really, really. Like,
it's crazy. The fights here in Austin the other day, our cowboy Cerrone kicks this guy's ass, knocks him out. The guy, after he realizes he's not going to die or whatever, gets out and goes out of the ring, octagon, and hugs Cowboy's grandmother.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what?
That show of respect.
That is amazing.
And Yancey's legit. Like, that guy is tough. He's a tough guy. But I mean, that's the balance, that's the contrast. That's the ballet of violence. That's like some of the most talented fighters, from the Muhammad Ali's to Anderson Silva's to John Jones and Vitor Belfort's. Like, they almost, it was almost like they're dancing, but they're dancing, inflicting this crazy amount of damage in a really artistic way.
Who is Conor McGregor going to fight? What's his face? Mayweather?
No.
No.
I mean, there's so much money there, though. Maybe if Floyd came to the UFC,
he wouldn't last one round.
Mayweather?
I don't know.
No, Mayweather would not last
5 seconds.
I would give him, because of his footwork, I would give him 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he would be
toast.
Yeah.
And then I read, I don't know if I believe this or not. What's up with this friendship with Alex Jones? Is he your buddy?
He's not. Shane, actually, he's really good friends with Shane. And
is he Shane, who we worked out with today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they grew up together. They went to school together, and they're friends.
It's on your Wikipedia page. That's the only reason I asked.
Oh, Wikipedia. It also says I have a daughter with a Canadian Olympian swimmer, which I don't. I really don't. My wife, I do not.
Spring break in the 80s was pretty crazy, bro.
It was intense. Alex gave me an opportunity to have access to his audience.
Yep.
And I was, man, I just talked about freedom. You know, like
So we went on the show.
I went on a show,
Yep.
and the intent, originally our plan was to do like little video segments showing a freedom in America and how to exercise it. You know, because like anything not used, it has atrophy and it dies. You know, muscles or brains, and freedoms I think are the same way. You know, like if there's not this tangible exercise of it, it just slowly withers. Like the First Amendment especially, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and not take a like amendment of the Constitution and show how to exercise it, but I wanted to demonstrate what that freedom looks like in practice. You know, like here, do you know in Texas, you can't buy raw milk? Do you know that?
You know, I didn't know that, but there's a lot of stuff I don't know, but I didn't know that.
I don't like that. You know,
Okay.
I don't like anybody telling me what I'm supposed to do or not supposed to do. If my freedom doesn't affect somebody else, just let me have my freedom.
Right.
And this is the tricky part about guns, where guns, while I think it's a right, a gun can affect somebody else's freedom, clearly, because it's killing people. So that does not mean that everybody gets to have access. Our NRA does not like this part. And most Second Amendment gun-toting, open carry people would be like, oh my God, that's horrible, Tim, you shot your face. Like everybody does not have the right to have a gun. Because that right, if that right is negatively affecting other people, then you don't get that. It's not a privilege, but it definitely has to be earned, and it has to be shown and demonstrated that you have the right to own it. And that
You've earned the right.
Yeah, you've earned the right, which is background checks and legit, not background checks that we have right now, which don't really do anything, like real background checks that. You know, because you get a form. I'm not sure, you said you don't have a gun, but you pretty much just get a form and you just check the boxes. And if you check the box right, you get to buy a gun. That's insane.
That's a background check?
That's a background check. Like,
That doesn't
you can
cut
even
it.
have the gun owner
That doesn't cut it.
whose best interest is to make sure you check the box correctly. Like, oh, no, maybe you should change box 11A right there and say no, that you are not dishonorably discharged from the military. So then, because if you check that box that way, you can't buy a gun. You know, but if you lie on it, you've committed a crime. So there is a kind of catch-22 there, but yeah, it's a bad deal.
All right, last question. What keeps you up? I ask everybody this in 2018. What keeps you up at night?
Oh man, failure.
Aside from losing your freedoms and
failure, failing my family, failing my friends, failing
teammates.
Yeah. No, it's not a reoccurring nightmare. You know, it's not like this thing I struggle with, but you know, all of the things that I've done in 15 years in special operations, like I would be crazy if they weren't for a reason. You know, if they weren't for a purpose. And what is that purpose? You know, it's because I believe in this idea of this country, of this freedom, where like if my homosexual neighbor wants to have a cake that says love wins on it made from marijuana, that they can have that, and fuck, I'll bake it for them, you know? That, and that's freedom to me. Like, you do whatever you want. So that nightmare is like failure in all of these things that I've been doing aren't affecting change positively, where, you know, my family is struggling, or my friends are struggling with post-traumatic stress, with depression, with alcoholism. America's struggling, you know, like freedoms are struggling, like all these little things. And ultimately all of those big things come down to me failing, in my dream. Right. And it's like, and that is the personification of my worst nightmare. It's like, I have failed. I've failed my family. I've failed my country. I've failed my friends. I've failed my teams. I've just failed. So that's what I'm scared of.
Yeah. I don't think many people would look at your life and go, you know, the guy's a failure. I don't think so, bro.
I hope not.
No.
Well, I'm just going to keep doing this until I die.
Keep doing it. And let's keep working out.
We will.
Yeah.
I want to hop in some Wolf. I love training with Wolf.
Come on.
I love that guy.
Yeah. Tim, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Be safe out there.
I will.
Wherever the fuck you're going.